Hello and welcome to Aid and Eyewitness. In this video I'm going to look at 56 buildings and projects across Liverpool, similar to the one I did from Manchester, that was the last video, but particularly highlighting the architects and looking at the impression that they've made on the city. These are architects from the past and from present times. I was going to do a bike tour, but my bike got a puncture, the weather hasn't been so sunny, and my availability hasn't been so good. So I'll do the tour drawing on my huge collection of archive photos and video clips, plus a few new ones. I want to highlight the diversity of architecture in Liverpool, and I'm going to give my opinions on architectural issues and on things people have written in the comments, including some that annoy me. For instance, the idea that modern architecture has destroyed Liverpool and that all modern architecture is bad. The list has 56 buildings or projects on it, a similar number to my Manchester video. By the way, I'm using my new super duper professional microphone for the voiceover. Script as usual, written by me. A lot of effort and research goes into it, so please pay close attention. The projects are dotted around the city, but there is a logic to it. First on the list is St John's Shopping Centre. Hardly a paragon of architectural magnificence, it replaced the more traditional St John's Market in the 1970s. Its facade is so unprepossessing for people exiting Lime Street Station that they put up a screen, well, a screen in two meanings. A fabric screen stretched on a metal frame to screen the plain brick exterior, and also a screen, a huge panoramic electronic billboard screen that flashes adverts and local information. Some people say they don't like it, but all I'd say about it is it's incredibly bright and makes it difficult to photograph, as it's about 3 times the light level of its surroundings. I think these billboards should be more light sensitive and go dim, like your smartphone screen. And I found this photograph of how things looked in the late 50s. A row of magnificent Georgian facades with neon lights. Very attractive and chic. A kind of big city charm, much of which unfortunately was lost in the 1960s and 70s. Yes, I do think that some modern architecture has had a bad effect, but not all of it. St John's Shopping Centre was designed by James A. Roberts, based in Birmingham. He designed the famous Bullring Shopping Centre in the centre of Birmingham. That's a case study in itself. I remember someone in the comments said he hated St John's Beacon, the former Radio City Tower, but I think it's great. It's an iconic symbol of Liverpool, also designed by James A. Roberts, and hopefully it'll be reopening soon. People often praise traditional architecture like St George's Hall and say that today's architects should build in a similar style, but they can't for many reasons. First, that's the style of the 19th century, reflecting the values, aesthetics and building materials of the time. If architects tried to build a similar building today, it would somehow devalue the uniqueness of the old buildings. You wouldn't know the new from the old. Also, the craft skills don't exist today. It would cost many times more than a contemporary style. And of course, architects like to be cutting edge. The only modern building constructed in a traditional style in the Liverpool-Manchester area that I can think of is the Trafford Centre. St George's Hall was designed by Harvey Lonsdale Elms, who sadly died of consumption at the age of 33. Charles Robert Cockerell took over and it was completed in 1854. It's magnificent in every way, timeless and inspiring, one of the treasures of Liverpool architecture. They don't build them like that anymore, but should we build in this style today? Well, there is one example in Liverpool of where I think it might have been justified to build in a traditional style. We'll look at that later. By way of contrast, let's look at this familiar structure, the Playhouse extension, completed in 1968. It's radically modern, and it's listed. The Architect's Journal of 1968 stated that the newer section is a brilliant concept, joyously realised, which exploits asymmetrical volumes and ever-varying spaces, yet achieves unity and also balance with the adjoining Victorian facade. It was designed by the Lancashire-born architect Ken Martin. He was a key influence in the redevelopment of one of Liverpool's most famous buildings, and also designed another on the other side of the Mersey. More about him later. Now let's look at Liverpool's newest structure, a recreation of the old Art Deco column that once stood next to the entrance to the Wallasey Tunnel. You can see it in old photos, but it was taken down in the 1960s, possibly because it needed renovation. Can anybody confirm this? Here's a view of the column next to St John's Beacon. Now that's something that annoys me.
placing street lighting and security cameras right next to architectural artefacts. Although in this case it looks like the architectural artefact was actually placed right next to the streetlight and the cameras. I decided to remove it in Photoshop. Ah, that's better. And black and white? Yes, with a high contrast red filter. Nice. Let's hope they move that street lamp and those cameras. Just across from the Wallasey Tunnel entrance, there's a superb 1930s building that was fully revealed after the flyovers were removed. It's the former Blackburn Assurance Building. It was constructed in 1932 and was designed by architect William P. Horsburgh. But what makes it really distinctive is something you can't see from the outside. It's the spiral staircase with the skylight at the top. There is one prominent modern building in Liverpool with a spiral staircase. That's the Museum of Liverpool. We've got a long list to get through, so let's make some haste down Dale Street to the corner with Castle Street. And here's a prominent, maybe controversial modern building I haven't featured before. It's the former Midland Bank with its geometric mirrored glass panels. It was completed in 1971 and designed by Thomas Harker of Bradshaw, Rouse and Harker. It was originally a branch of the Midland Bank, but today it houses this Italian restaurant and bar. The design is strikingly modernistic, a big contrast with the surrounding facades, nearly all belonging to traditional style buildings from various eras of the past. But was it right to place such a radically modern facade amongst all those heritage buildings? I think it was okay. But what slightly annoys me, however, is the fact that the glass is not in good condition. It's a listed building, and yet the glass, the main feature, is not maintained properly. It looks like it needs a good clean. I think glass can only look good and striking if it's kept clean and shiny. If this was Switzerland, I don't think those windows would be in that state. The building has a certain similarity with the trend-setting Oriel Chambers on Water Street, designed by Peter Ellis. It was completed in 1863 and was hated by many at first. It was the world's first building featuring a metal-framed glass curtain wall, designated Grade 1 in 1966. Further down Water Street is the Tower Building, designed in 1906 by Walter Aubrey Thomas, completed in 1910, 1 year before the completion of the Royal Liver Building. Tower Building was one of the first steel-framed buildings in the UK. It's designated Grade 2 star. Just across the Strand is the Liver Building. What is there to say that hasn't already been said about this, to use a very cliched word, iconic building? Well, there's one thing that makes me a bit annoyed. Actually, there are two. On the interior of the courtyard, there is a modern-style glass facade. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. They figured nobody will see it from the outside, so it doesn't matter. And yes, it does matter. I think heritage buildings should be kept as much as possible in their original form. I understand that part of the original lobby was removed as well. On the Royal Liver Building 360 tour, the stay on the viewing terrace at the top is limited to 10 minutes. The tour is otherwise excellent, but they have to limit the time as the tours are strictly timed and they can only take 14 people in one go. So just to confirm, Royal Liver Building architect Walter Aubrey Thomas, completed 1911, first listed on the 11th of July 1966, Grade 1. Seafaring is part of the heritage of Liverpool, going back centuries, and that tradition continues with the Isle of Man ferry terminal, designed by the Manser practice, founded by the late Michael Manser, CBE-RA. Isle of Man? Manser? No, the name Manser has nothing to do with the Isle of Man, although the Isle of Man government commissioned the building. On Prince's Dock, there's an overlooked building. I even overlooked it myself and failed to take a photograph of it. It's the Malmaison Hotel, which also has apartments at the top. It was designed by Leach Rhodes Walker, a familiar name in Liverpool. It's one of those buildings that tends to divide opinion. Soulless grey concrete slab reminiscent of a nuclear power station, or chic and elegant minimalist statement reminiscent of an iconic art gallery. What do I think of it? I think it looks great. Further up Prince's Dock, the Lexington, with its transatlantic Art Deco references, though much smaller than those Art Deco masterpieces that appeared in New York over a century ago. 2 doors up, the new kid on the block, Lighthouse, originally to be called Patagonia Place. It's actually a taller and shorter building combined. Does it conform to the glass box aesthetic that many complain about? Well, if so, how should they have built it? What would have made it stand out? Can every building be an architectural masterpiece? Should every building be an architectural masterpiece? Why can't they build buildings with ornaments, turrets and statues of faces and figures like they did in the past? Too many questions, all material for another video. Let's continue. Alexandra Tower, previously featured. It has curves and a sloping roof. Surely that's worthy of praise. But unfortunately, this building had a lot of structural problems that took several years to put right. By the way, I'm not picking out all the buildings around. I'm actually almost picking them out on a whim, but the aim is to show that A. Liverpool has countless superb traditional buildings, B. Modern buildings are certainly not all bad, and C. We need to open our eyes and look at what's all around us. That's what I do for these videos. I find the urban environment endlessly surprising and interesting. Further up, beyond the Isle of Man ferry terminal, is an area that's under development, and has been for some time. It's West Waterloo Place, a project of developers Romal Capital. I had the pleasure of meeting the people there. They were very friendly and helpful. They told me a lot about the project. The building nearing completion is Mauretania, which I've featured previously during its stages of construction. What I didn't know is that the project was designed by Footprint Design Architects. It seems to me a lot of thought went into this project with its arches, so don't the architects deserve credit? I have to say, it does annoy me that people endlessly criticise architects. What do I say? Well, I think people should do what I do when I make these videos. Open your eyes, do the research, educate yourself, learn new stuff. The most vocal critics rarely put forward an alternative, maybe an example of a modern building or development that does things the way they like. Or even, they could come up with a design of their own, even a scribble on the back of an envelope. That would be something, but they rarely do. So let's move on to the next project, but oh dear, look at the timing of the video. It's already up to 12 minutes, and I've only covered 17 out of the 56 projects. I'm going to have to split it into two parts. Sorry about this. I was about to show you the recently completed Miller's Quay on West Float and tell you what I think of it, but, well, that's where we'll continue in the follow-up video. So, many thanks for watching part 1, and hope you found it interesting. Please like this video and subscribe to the Aiden Eyewitness channel. Feel free to post a comment, and if you're criticising, please explain your point of view properly and put forward an alternative. Don't just say it's rubbish. I'll link to the follow-up video in the top right whenever it's ready. Not sure exactly when. Wie immer, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und auf Wiedersehen in der Liverpool City Region.